Okay, we'll start. So first of all, I want to thank Tzippy for speaking tonight. Tzippy Staum is a veteran educator, not just for kids and in middle school, but also for adults. She gives shiurim at Beth Aaron. She's currently an administrator of Judaic Studies at the Sinai Schools at RYNJ. And just want to thank you for not just doing this tonight, but for always, being part of the community and giving wonderful shiurim. So, Tzippy, all yours.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for coming out tonight. I know it's late, but to learn together. Hold on, I'm going to share my screen. Sorry. Nope. Okay. Okay, so tonight, we're going to discuss the Sefer Bamidbar, just Bamidbar, which always precedes Shavuot, and to try to understand the significance between the flags that are specified in this parsha, and what connection perhaps that has to the Chag of Shavuos, and as we see how flags are identifiers, and how that perhaps can symbolize some sort of mission for us as we enter into Kabbalah Torah, as well as trying to parallel that with the journey of Rus, which we also read on Shavuos, so that maybe we can see how the messages from the flags and from the journey of Ruth, how we can take them and internalize them within ourselves as we approach the Chag, as it is coming tomorrow evening. So if we start with the beginning of Parshas Bamidbar, we talk about counting and numbers. Counting is probably the most individual thing that you can do, each one by one, whether we count coins or we count cards or whatever it is, that definitely denotes some sort of individuality. And so here, Bnei Israel, as they are in the Midbar, at the very beginning, Vayidaber Hashem el Moshe b'Midbar Sinai be'Ohel Moed, on the first day of the second month, let's say some the B'Shana Shenit, let's say some Meretz Mitzrayim Le'mor. So here they are in the second year since they left Mitzrayim. Su'us Rosh Kol Adat B'nei Israel. Count all of the people in Bnei Israel, L'mishbechotam, according to their families, L'beis Avosam, according to their fathers' homes, b'mispar shemot kol zachar l'gugulatam. So it's very specific oriented here in terms of their counting and the individual people that are being counted. And the Torah goes on to say, actually, it's only going to be the males that are 20 plus, but they are going to be counted and part of a group. And then in terms of their encampments, so they are counted Bnei Israel. And Rashi tells us there that it's a symbol of love. That Hashem counts Bnei Israel because he loves us and he counts us often. And usually when people like something, they count it. People who are very into their money will count their money. People who love their collections of cards or cars or whatever will start to count those as well. So it definitely is a symbol of love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for us when he counts us. And we all know that we want to count for something. We all want that unique individual feeling where we count for something. We want to be significant, especially think about Bnei Israel as they left Mitzrayim. They're not slaves anymore, where they were nobodies, and they were just a group of people that had to do work for Paro. They were nobodies in Mitzrayim. They really wanted, we can understand that it was probably a very good feeling, as we feel as well when we're counting and we are counted, and feel significant and important. But not only were they counted, but the Torah goes on to tell us in terms of their encampments, V'chanu b'nei Yisrael ish al machanehu v'ish al diglo, where they were each man according to his camp and according to his flag, litzivosam. So what is this flag? A flag is also an identifier. A flag shows uniqueness, identification, some sort of mission of the Shevet. Now, we know that no two Shvatim were alike. Each one was unique in their own right. And if we see in Perek Bet, the Torah tells us, "Ish al diglo be'otot lebeit avotam yachanu b'nei Yisrael mineged saviv le'ohel moed yachanu." So how did they camp? What was it by? It was by their degel. They had this flag. They had this identifier. And Rashi says, be'otot, what kind of signs were on these flags? Kol degel yellow ot mapat tzivua tiluya bo. Each one had a different sign. It was some sort of color. Tzivo shel zeh lo ketzivo shel zeh. One color was not the same as another color. Tzeva kol echad kegon avno hakavua b'choshen. Each one had their identified color, the one that was similar to the one on the choshen, on the breastplate that the Kohen Gadol wore. Umitoch kach yakir kol echad es tiglo. And that's how everyone would identify their flag. So again, we know that certain clothing or certain colors help identify us and make us unique. And so not only did the tribe have their own unique color, but again, they had their own unique mission, their own unique characteristics, their own unique approaches in terms of what made them their shevet and how it made them unique as an individual shevet. And Rashi goes on to give us a davar acher, gives us a little bit of a deeper meaning here, which says, "Be'otot lebeit avotam," according to the signs of their fathers, "Be'ot shemasar lahem Yaakov avihem kishenasauhu mimitzrayim shene'amar vayisu banav lo king asher tzivam." We're talking about the signs that Yaakov gave to each one of his sons, to each one of their shvatim, each one of the shvatim, when they carried him out of Egypt. Now, if you imagine the scene, now if you remember the brachos of Yaakov as he was giving, and each one had a specific trait, each one was individual, and this was the formation that they carried their father's bones to out of Egypt, is the same formation that they were encamped, with the Mishkan as the center, where they are encamping in the Midbar, and so too Yaakov at the center, and this was the same formation that they had when they carried him out of Egypt. So each brother, each shevet was recognized by his place, what his strength was, what his contribution was to the whole Am Yisrael. Again, why does it say ish al diglo? If you look at the pasuk above, it says ish al diglo, each man according to his flag, according to his banner. Why doesn't it say shevet al diglo, right? Because the banner, the flags really identified the shevet. So when we think about the ish, we think about the individual, how each individual is important and how they make up the shevet, and that each one has to think that I have a unique contribution. I have a unique effect on the klal. So it's not only the shevet al diglo, but me, myself, I have something special to offer, and and the shevet is counting on me. We know that flags are identifiers. Each shevet has a flag. Each country has a flag. I believe there's a state flag for everything. I don't even know if Teaneck has a flag, but there are so many. There definitely are so many flags. Even each team, if we look at a bunch here, each my boys, every team, every basketball team, every color, every number, there's some sort of identifier that makes them unique. Everybody knows them by their number if they don't know them by their name. There's something unique or special that identifies them, whether it's a flag, whether it's a color, or something, or something that represents them and their individuality. But at the same time, that jersey or of that ball player is part of a team. So that state flag is part of the United States. So again, this individual, these colors, whatever symbol or emblem represents, tells us what something unique and individual about ourselves that contribute to the klal, to the whole. So it sounds almost comical or almost materialistic, you would say, that why a flag? Is a flag so important? So Bnei Israel were camped around, so we know about each shevet and where they were, but is the identifier of a flag and the colors and the symbol really, really so important? Why was it important for Bnei Israel to camp by their flags? So the Medrash in Bamidbar Rabbah tells us, "Chiba gedola chibavan HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'asa'am degalim kemalachei hashares." It seems to be that there was this love that Hashem made flags for Bnei Israel because they wanted them to have flags like the Malachim. You're going to tell me Malachim had flags? Well, yeah. It seems that they had flags that they were identified on. From where do we know that this was loved by Bnei Israel? Shekain Shlomo Omer. Shlomo says in Shir Hashirim, Haviani el Beis Hayayim v'Diglo alai Ahava. And he brought me to the Beis Hayayim, to the big banquet hall. And his banner of love was upon me. Think about the banquet hall. Maybe we're talking about Matan Torah, this great grandiose place where we were brought, and there were these degalim. B'sha'ah shenigla HaKadosh Baruch Hu al Har Sinai, the time that HaKadosh Baruch Hu revealed himself on Har Sinai, Yardu imo chaf beis revavos shel malachim, 22,000 malachim v'hayakulam assumed degalim. Each one had a flag. What? Malachim had flags. Kevan shara'u otan Yisrael shehem asuyim degalim. Once Bnei Israel saw and say, wow, these malachim have each have their flag. Hitchilu mitzavim ledegalim. They also had this desire for flags. Amru, and they said, alavai kach anu na'asim degalim k'motam. Oh, can't we also have flags like them, like the malachim? Amar lahem HaKadosh Baruch Hu, manis avisam lasot degalim. You're really desiring these, just as you're desiring these flags. Chayechem, I promise you, shani memalem mishalosechem. I'll give you flags. I'll put in for your request. Yimaleh Hashem kol mishalosecha. Hashem fulfills everything that we ask for. Miyad hodzia Kadosh Baruch Hu osam liYisrael. Va'amar laMoshe, he tells Moshe, lech haseh otam degalim k'moshe nisavu. Go, make them flags like they desired. They wanted these flags so much. So it seems that the Malachim had these flags, and that was what instigated Bnei Israel also to desire these flags. But was it really the flag? And if we think about the symbolism of what a flag is, that it identifies a mission and a purpose, and we know about the Malachim that each one has their own individual mission, perhaps that's what Bnei Israel were craving as well, that they wanted to identify with something specific, something mission. I quote Rabbi Franz, a flag is a very physical item. Angels are entirely spiritual. Why would angels need flags? Furthermore, what was their strong desire that the Jews had for flags? Just because the angels had it? It sounds so materialistic. It sounds simplistic. The Nesivo Shalom writes that flags demonstrate the mission of every single group. And this is true. We are not necessarily very conscious of the military, but think about it. The Army has its own flag, the Navy has its own flag, the Air Force has its own flag, even every pluga in the Tzahal has its own flag. Every branch of the service has its own flag. Every flag somehow identifies what the unit or group is all about. When Chazal say the angels came down with flags, it is a way of saying that every angel has its own specific mission and purpose for existence. The flag demonstrates what the angel is all about. This also explains the tremendous passion that Klal Yisrael had for flags. When the Jews saw flags and proclaimed that each angel had a mission and a purpose, they said, Halavai, if only we too would have such flags. Remember, out of Mitzrayim, they didn't know what their purpose was or what their mission was. They were these slaves. Now they too want to know, what is my mission? What is my mission as a Jew, as part of Klal Yisrael, as part of the greater nation? Is there anything greater that a person wants out of life other than to know that what his tafkid is and what his purpose is and what he should do for his life? Wow, that sounds like really deep. We're not going to go so deep, but we know that that is a mission that we all want and that we all crave. What is our purpose? Are we fulfilling it? We all want to serve Hashem, but we wonder in what capacity should we be serving him? The flags defined for each tribe what their mission was. They strongly desired something which would testify to the fact that each of them had a defined purpose, as was the case with the angels. The flags continue to carry a message for us too, because even today, although we know flags, each one, I lost the bottom. Each has a clearly defined mission in this world, and that he can achieve as well. So we see that the flags were not just about the color and the insignia and the embroidery or the emblem, but really what it represented in terms of a mission and in terms of a purpose, which perhaps that is what Klal Yisrael was really craving and desiring. And this is the Nesivo Shalom, and basically says what Rabbi Franz said because he quoted it. I'm just going to read on the left side, Shalachol Yehudi, up here. No, no adash lichut mesuyemet lemalet ratzon Hashem. We all want, right? We know that part of our mission and purpose is to fulfill the ratzon Hashem. And by the star over here, shechiba gedola shechiba bana kadosh baruch hu. Is that right? This was a tremendous love by Hakadosh Baruch Hu. He had bihirut, the clarity, ladas esatafkid, the clarity. If we all wish, we want that clarity to know what is our job and our purpose. Hamiyuchad shel Yehudi ba'olamo, of each Jew within Hakadosh Baruch Hu's world. Zo mashma'ut ha'degalim. That is the essence and the symbolism of the degalim, of these flags. Let's now try to connect that to root. Okay, root. What is her identity? Okay, what is her identity? What flag does she wave? How do we identify root? If she had a flag, what would be her insignia? What would be her colors? So we know that Ruth was a Moaviyah. She came from a nation that was not full of chesed, actually that were ingrates, and that did not offer food and drink when Bnei Israel came through their lands. But she leaves that identity, that individuality. She was a princess. She was the daughter of Eglon, and she left that. She left that Moab princess, the comfort, the luxury that she had at home, and she leaves that identity to come into Judaism, to come with Naomi to Beis Lechem. And she joins the klal, and she says, Al tifki ibi la'azvech. Stop yelling at me, she says to me. Stop urging me to leave you. Lashuv mi'acharayach. Ki el asher telchi elech. Where you go, I will go. B'asher talini alin. Where you sleep, I will sleep. Amech ami ve'elokayach elokai. Your nation is my nation, and your God is my God. Right? And she goes on showing her commitment, her willingness to leave that identity and to join the klal and the nation of Naomi, of Bnei Israel. I couldn't copy all of these because it was too small. But in this book, it's called Mother of Royalty. But it's an old one, but it's a good one, by Yeshua Backrack. So he says, hold on, sorry. So he says, let's try to understand how greatly Ruth was distressed. She said to her, you will not sin on account of me. You will not be punished on account of me. I am truly resolved to become converted. This is Ruth talking. But it is better that it should be at your hands than at those of another. When Naomi heard this, she began to unfold to her the laws of conversion. And that's Ruth Rabbah. With all the grace, compassion, and heroism radiating from these verses and illuminating Ruth's personality, we still ask in astonishment, why did she see fit to act this way? What did Ruth discover in Naomi that she took upon herself to utter this oath? What was so special? We know that Moab was definitely not known for their goodness and their good qualities. Was there something in Naomi that she saw? Did she want to lavish upon Naomi the love still harbored for her dead husband? Or did some hidden voice beckon her to speak on behalf of the royal family destined to issue from her? Indeed, Ruth did follow her mother-in-law to the lands of Judah, carrying hidden within her the powerful urge to cling to this family and to expiate their crime and the hope of perpetuation of the family in the midst of Israel, that the name of the deceased husband not become expunged, and that a house for him be built in Yehuda, and that his name be established in Israel. And to this purpose, she dedicated her life. Total selflessness, selflessness, that she was not selfish at all. She was looking again for the klal, looking towards her mother-in-law, looking towards perpetuating the name of Naomi's family and of her deceased husband Machlon. And this was Ruth. Her unbounded kindness and compassion was clearly and distinctively pronounced in this promise and vow that she wanted to convert and be with Naomi. And that is how she entered the community of Klal Yisrael. And this in a sense was the kapara for the sins of Elimelech and his sons, as it says in Mishlei, bechesed ve'emes yichaper avon, that it was her chesed and emes, that she was truthful and to the commitment of Torah u'mitzvos, and her chesed, what she gave of herself in order for others, for Ruth, for Naomi, and for her family, that shows true chesed. And it really is Elimelech, if we want to compare, who does the exact opposite, where he was the Mefarnes Hador, he was the rich man, the wealthy man who supported the generation there, and it was his complete selfishness that he focused on himself, and he left the community for himself because he didn't want to be bothered by anyone knocking on his door asking for food when there was a famine. However, the opposite is true with Ruth, because she leaves herself for the community. She leaves her identity for the greater good, as opposed to Elimelech, who leaves the community because he's focused on himself. If he really felt like he was part of the community, and if he were perhaps poor, maybe he would never have even left. But Elimelech shows a complete lack of consideration and compassion for his brothers, for his people, for his community. Let's compare the two. So we see here, we have Beis Lechem versus Sedei Moav. And Beis Lechem, okay, where Elimelech and Yehuda originate from, and this is, in Eretz Yisrael. Beis Lechem, the bayis. Let's compare the bayis, which is a house, which warmth, close, people are close to you. You feel some sort of security, and let's compare that to the Sadeh, the Staum Moab, an open field, a danger, unknown. Look what Elimelech is leaving. Look what he's leaving. Yes, there was a famine, but this home, this bayis, this Beis Lechem is what he left for Sedei Moab. And Lechem, let's compare Lechem and Moab. Lechem is food, satiation, comfort, satisfaction, right? You feel, when you have a home and you have food and there's warmth, it's all good. People are going to come for seconds and they're going to come for more. And let's compare that to the Sedei of Moab. Moab didn't offer lechem. They're the complete antithesis of food, of giving, or of satiation. Because as Bnei Israel tried to enter, pass through their land, they refused, not even to sell, not even to give them. And so we see here a complete antithesis between Ruth and between Elimelech. Elimelech is representing complete selfishness and ego. He is so self-absorbed. Elimelech, Eli Melech. To me, I will be king. I'm the best. I'm the wealthiest. I am the greatest. Perhaps he's talking about his own ego, and only about himself. He cannot look beyond anybody else. Ruth, I heard in a shir from Shani Tarragon, and many of the things that I'm going to share here are, I must give credit that I listened to many shirim on Wayu Torah, Rebbetzin Shira Smiles, Rebbetzin Shani Tarragon, and many others, of whom I've elicited a lot of information from to bring it together for you here. So Ruth sounds like Re'ut, friendship, companionship, right? And that's who she is, the opposite of the egotistic Elimelech. Rebbetzin Shira Smiles says in her shir, Ruth stands for Shara'ata b'divrei chamota, that she was able to see beyond herself and see what her mother-in-law needed. And that is who Ruth was. She didn't only look into herself, she looked beyond. She is able to leave everything that is comfortable and everything that is known to her, and she joins her widowed mother-in-law. Chesed eno matzchil b'netina ela b're'iyah. Chesed does not necessarily always start with giving. We always think that chesed is about giving and giving and giving. It's more than that. It starts with re'iyah, seeing, anticipating, having your antennas up as to what does somebody need? What are their needs in the community? How can I help them before we just give? So sometimes it's that step before and that anticipation, looking at the bigger picture where the antennas are up. And that's who Ruth is as the paradigm of chesed, where she says, your God is my God. She's saying, she's looking beyond herself and beyond what she needs and her comforts and her luxuries. She's looking way beyond that. And this sounds very, very similar to Avraham, because Avraham also was a paradigm for chesed, right? For hachnasas orchem and for chesed. And it sounds very familiar. He also left all, lech lecha, he left all that to him, all that was comfortable for him, and he left that also in order to follow Hashem's will. And so too, Ruth is following in this same path. And it's not so uncommon that chesed and emunah, chesed and faith are really quite intertwined if we think about it. There is a really strong connection between chesed and emunah. If you're so self-absorbed, if you're egotistical and you're only thinking about yourself like Elimelech, you cannot see beyond yourself and you cannot see others, and therefore you cannot see Hashem if you're so self-absorbed. It's those chesed and emunah where you can see beyond yourself and you can see and make room for others. You can make room for God as well. And Abraham saw the needs of the malachim. He saw the needs of any guests. He was looking for them. His antennas were up as he waited outside his door. And he was looking for the opportunity to do chesed. And so he and Ruth clearly are very related here as well. Elimelech only sees the needs of the community and then he runs away from them. So although he sees it, he doesn't embrace it, and he doesn't give once he sees what the community needs. A little Hasidic word here to stick in, that in the Devarim, where it says Hashem is also talking about Hashem that made that about giving the Torah, that he made us this brit b'chorev. Lo es avosenu karas Hashem es bris hazot ki itanu, Hashem made the brit with us. Anachnu ela po hayom kulanu chayim. Panim bepanim diber Hashem imachem bahar mitosh. Right? Hashem spoke to you face to face in the mountain. We're talking about Har Sinai here. And then it says, Anochi omed beit Hashem beinechem be'esahi la'agid lachem es devar Hashem. And I stood between Hashem and you at the time to convey Hashem's words to you. Moshe, remember, and Matan Torah, Bnei Israel couldn't hear it anymore. They said, Moshe, you speak, it's too much, we can't hear Hashem. And it says, Anochi omed bein Hashem and beinechem, right? So really it's Moshe talking, right? That it was Moshe who had to be the mediator, the middleman between Hashem and Bnei Israel. But the Baal Shem Tov says, no. Let's look deeper into this. The Anochi, what does Anochi mean? The I, the self, the ego, right? The individual. I stands between Hashem and you. The Baal Shem Tov says the Anochi stands in the way with the worship of oneself. When someone is thinking about only themselves and they are self-centered, that is the divide between you and Hashem. When you only think of yourself, that divides you and that does not connect you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's what stands between you and Hashem. So let's think about that. That was Elimelech. He was so focused on himself and his money and his ego and not wanting to help everyone else. But let us not be so self-centered. Let us not think only of ourselves so that we have this obstacle between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We want to be able to think of others and not be so self-centered so that there is no divide between us and Hashem, so that we have a direct path and we have that direct line as well. Let's go back to the Megillah. Let's go back to Boaz. Boaz here, he recognizes Ruth in the field. Well, he recognizes a girl in the field and asks, who is this? Who is this girl? Vayomer Boaz lena'aro hanitzav ala kotzrim lemi hana'ara azot. Right? Who does this woman belong to? Vayan hanar hanitzav ala kotzrim vayomer na'ara moaviyahi hashavai na'ami mistei Moab. So he identifies her as what now? She's still identified as a Moaviyah to the others. So very interesting, because I just made a whole claim here that Ruth left her identity as a Moaviyah and she joined Klal Yisrael, right? And she made that vow and that commitment to Naomi. She made that vow and commitment to do the mitzvos, Elokai Elokai. But here it seems to be she's retaining part of this identity as a Moaviyah. And then when Boaz speaks to her, and it says further on, right? So she bows down to him. Why did I find favor in your eyes, Boaz? Why are you having special attention towards me? To recognize me and single me out. I am a stranger. I am a foreigner, is what she says. So again, Ruth has not identified herself as part of Klal Yisrael here. Maybe she's nervous. Maybe she's in the Sadeh of Boaz and she's not with Naomi. So maybe she feels nobody knows her yet. I don't really know. But she's identifying herself as a Nochriya. But Boaz quickly says to her, that he knows her. He's been told about all of the things that she did and the chesed that she did for her mother-in-law. And if you look at the end here, that you left your father and your mother and your birthplace, and you went to a nation that you didn't know, right? So he's recognizing all of this. So in this, by Yoshua Backrack, he says that Boaz, when after Ruth says, I was a foreigner, I'm a stranger, Boaz was deeply moved by this confrontation. He addresses her with words of consolation and blessing. He makes her feel good. You're not a stranger, he's saying. I know all about you. And also, he publicly is paying tribute to her. He clarifies her status, stating the ruling that was suppressed so far. Which ruling are we talking about? We're talking about the law that says that because of what Moab did, that no Moab can enter into, can be a convert into Bnei Israel. But we know that it was talking about a male Moab, a Moavi, and not a Moaviyah. So he was strengthening that, and he was clarifying that's for the men, but it's okay because it's okay for a woman from Moab to convert. He reaffirmed the law, not fully known to that generation, that it was permissible for Ruth to enter the community of Israel. This same Ruth, so steeped in kindness and chesed and compassion, who had converted for the sake of heaven. And Targum Yonatan says, when she says, I'm an alien people, she's saying, I'm a foreigner. I'm an alien people, the daughter of Moab, people who are unworthy to enter the congregation of Hashem. And Boaz answers her, no, the declaration of the sages has been told to me that when Hashem issued the decree, it applied only to the males and not the females. It has been prophetically revealed to me that kings and prophets are destined to issue forth from you in consequence of the good that you have extended to your mother-in-law. So again, we see that Boaz, who his name also is Bo-Oz, right? Within him is strength. He musters up the strength to console her, to tell her, no, this is the law. He is going to reaffirm the law that, no, it's okay. I know who you are. I can identify you as a woman of chesed, of all the things that you've done. And he is the one who has the strength, who will eventually step up within the realm of chesed to marry Ruth and do yibum and perpetuate the name of Machlon and Naomi's family. So we see here that although this will be the last time that she's going to identify herself or be identified as a Moaviyah, totally leaving that identity of Moab, joining the Jewish people, joining the klal and the greater community, and then Ruth too will be this paradigm of chesed. She has a new individual symbolism and model for all of us. So we're talking about I know I keep going back and forth, but that's the point here in terms of Ruth and Shavuos and Matan Torah and Bamidbar. So, we're trying to weave it all together here. So Ruth now has personally and publicly been recognized as part of Klal Yisrael by her vow to Naomi and by Boaz's declaration and reaffirmation of who she is and her commitment to being a part of Klal Yisrael. She is obliged to the 613 mitzvos, the Aseres Hadibros, and all of the Aseres Hadibros are in the singular lashon. Why? Because Hashem wants that personal relationship with each one of us, that each one of us should have a personal relationship with Hashem and with his mitzvos. So we should find our unique connection to mitzvos, and we should say to ourselves, which one pulls us in, right? We are obligated to do the mitzvos, but we know that there are certain qualities or characteristics to each individual where they feel a certain affinity or they're drawn in to certain mitzvos of the 613. So when the Torah tells us, Lo tisa Hashem Hashem Elokecha l'shav, do not take the name of Hashem in vain, right? We shouldn't say it for no reason. The Or HaChaim says beautifully that there's a much deeper meaning. It just doesn't mean to say the word God or Hashem's name, for no reason, or say I swear to, like we tell the kids, don't say that because of Lo tisa Hashem Hashem Elokecha l'shav. There's really a deeper meaning here. Od Yermoz Shalo Yed Nosei Alav Shem Hashem Shehu Elokova Omer L'Chol Shehu Ish Yudi V'Oved Hashem. Don't say, right, that every Jew shouldn't take Hashem's name and give the impression that he's a true Oved Hashem. V'Hu Omro Shem Hashem Shehu Elokecha Ulevavo Lo Kein Yachshov. Don't say something, but yet you don't really feel it inside. Don't say that you are a true servant of the Lord, whereas in reality his heart does not serve the Lord. Don't put on a show. Don't put on the garb and the clothing that say that you are true of an Hashem when you truly are not, because that is taking Hashem's name in vain. And that is why the Torah chose lashad, creating a false impression. And we shouldn't do that. We should be true to ourselves. Do not pretend to be God-fearing. Don't pretend that you're a tzaddik when you're not. So this is really interesting, a total different limud than maybe we learned when we were in school in terms of what were the parameters of lo tisat Shem Elokecha l'shav. You have to be true to yourself. You have to find those strengths, that individual strength to know who you are, what type of individual. Don't fake it. Emphasize those truths. And again, on a different note, Shem Hashem. We all have the Shem Hashem within us. Each one individually has part of Hashem within us. Let us not use it in vain. We have God-given gifts. Each one might be different than our friends and our neighbor, but we have God-given gifts. And what we need to do is use those gifts. Find that Shem Hashem within each of us. Use those gifts and not only see the godliness, the Shem Hashem in us, but see it in others as well. Just like Boaz did. I'm going to go back for a second. I'm going to reverse the slide. What do you mean Boaz saw Shem Hashem? I skipped over it at the beginning here. At the top here, V'hinei Boaz bami beis lechem. Boaz comes from beis lechem. Vayomer lo kotzrim. He says to his reapers, Hashem imachem. Right? What does he say? Hashem is with you. Right? He goes into the sadeh, into this big field, and he puts Hashem in. Hashem is with you. He recognizes that Hashem is in this field. But not only Hashem is with you, but Hashem is within you, is what he says to his kotzrim and what he says to his workers, his reapers there. And when we see that in others, when we see that there's godliness and there's goodness in other people, what should the response be? Just what the kotzrim said, their response should be, Vayomru lo yevarechecha Hashem, and Hashem should bless you. And that should be the response. So not only, again, finding that uniqueness and being honest and truthful to ourselves. Who are you really? Find that koach. Find what makes you tick and what makes you feel so strong and makes you unique and special and adds to your personality and what that connection is. How not only within yourself but how that affects the klal, and be true to that and find that gift, that Shem Hashem, not only in you, but in others as well. And now we get to the time of Matan Torah. So here we have the famous Rashi, when Bnei Israel, Vayachanu Bamidbar, and they travel and they camped in the Midbar, Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Ahar. And this is in the singular. It says Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Ahar. That they camped, that Bnei Israel camped by the mountain. So famous Rashi says, Ki ish echad b'lev echad, right? Like one man, one heart. They were unified. They were like one. Everyone seems to forget the rest of the Rashi, so I actually deliberately put it here because we're always so focused on that song or on that Rashi. Ki ish echad b'lev echad, aval shar kol achadiyos b'taromos b'machlokes. Oy, oy, oy. So this time they were unified, but in all the other times they were camped, they were constantly fighting and they were in arguments, and it really wasn't such a good thing. So what's Rashi teaching us here? That yes, for Matan Torah we had to be unified, and here we are. In order to receive the Torah, we had to be unified. But in other places, we were so disjointed, and there was so much arguing going on. So what is that telling us? It's telling us that perhaps we don't read the word Vayichan and they camped. But why not look at it and saying that he found favor, right? V'hu matzah chen, where he found favor in each other's eyes, where you saw the goodness of everybody. And therefore there's no fighting. There's no arguing like there were in other times that they camped. But recognizing the goodness and the godliness, the Shem Hashem, the uniqueness that we talked about at the beginning, about whatever that uniqueness and individual role that each one has, that they put on their banner or put on their flag, recognizing that everybody is an individual. And whatever your color is, whatever your mission is, whatever your flag is, recognizing that, accepting that, then we could unify. So seeing the goodness and the godliness in others, and yet finding our own place as well, that is what helps unite us. so that we can get the Torah, Ki'ish echad b'lev echad. And that was what was in the center. That was in the center of all of these encampments, was the Mishkan and was the Torah. Okay. I don't want to run out of time. I think I'm getting close to the end. Yes, Jason?
Yeah, last one more minute. Sorry.
Okay, all right. We're gonna skip that Nesiva Shalom here. Let's go to Rabbi Fran for a second. Okay, so let's suggest the reason why Parshas Bamidbar precedes Shavuot is because unity really is a prerequisite to receiving the Torah. In order for society, a Torah society to work, each group within the society must be keenly aware of where its mission lies, not to be jealous and not to try to imitate other groups. If each member of Klal Yisrael is constantly thinking, I want that guy's job, or how come he should be entitled to learn all day, society will crumble. There has to be this knowledge of your place and your encampment and acceptance of everyone else's. It's kind of like that symphony, that orchestra, that famous mashal that everybody gives, right? Each musician has a designated assignment and a role to play, but they can't be, the flute guy can't be jealous of the violin guy and decide, I'm not going to play because he got a better part, because that the whole performance will suffer. So Am Yisrael really has to be a harmonious unit made up of individuals. And it is achdus and unity that's a prerequisite in order to achieve this achdus and in order to receive the Torah. So again, to bring it back to root, that it is Torah that is our unifier, the commitment that root shows so fervently and admirably, unwavering faith and commitment that it merits her to have the Malchus come from her. She left her individuality of Moab and she joins the cloud to become a new model, a paradigm of chesed for us. And I know, Jason, you want to finish. I guess I can't read all the other things, but the Lekach Tov says that we read Megillas Rist on Shavuos because Torah is also a book of chesed, because Torah chesed al Lashona, and we say that as well. I'm not going to read that one. Okay, so let us learn from the Degalim of Bamidbar, where each tribe occupied a specific position, and that each one had a specific identity and function amongst the Jewish people. Within each tribe, they each had their own role. And Ruth was of loyalty, chesed. She was able to see and to give, to see others what their needs were and to give them what they need. So we have to remember that lesson from our encampment in the desert. To be part of Am Yisrael is to be proud of who I am, to be happy who my friend is, to know my own distinct flag and my own banner, to respect the flag of others and the banner of my friends. Only then can we camp ba'achdus like one man and one heart, ki'ish echad b'lev echad, and then we can accept the Torah again.
Thank you, Tzippy.
Okay, was that good? Sorry, I missed the end.
That's great.